only 5 more races to go in the DTM season 2022, and here we are in Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. We're absolutely thrilled to be here in this phenomenal, legendary racetrack. And yesterday we had pretty cool weather with a lot of rain. Today it's pretty different. It's warming up a little bit, and the man who's really warming up to this season is Renee Rast, because you're picking up the speed. Only 17 points behind Sheldon Van Der Linde, who's the leader of the championship, but also you're starting in pole position. So I guess you're going to make the life of Sheldon pretty tough, right?
I hope so. I think he's making my life tough as well. He has a very strong car, very good package at the moment. He's a strong driver as well. So it's not going to be easy for me. But obviously I try to win the race. Maximum points is a target for today. But still the championship is long. You know, we have 5 races to go. The worst thing which can happen is that we have a DNF today. So for sure Sheldon and me will race clever but hard.
I'm pretty sure, but racing hard here, especially in Spa-Francorchamps, also means it's tough because it's such a challenging racetrack, right?
Especially with the changing conditions like yesterday. It started to rain yesterday at the end of the race. Today, hopefully it stays dry. But yeah, as you say, it's a very difficult track. And the track is still damp in some places, so it's not going to be easy.
All right, well, best of luck, Renee. Thank you so much. Well, we're going to run over here to see Sheldon Van Der Linde, who is starting in P2, and they're 17 points behind. So let's see, Sheldon is here already. So Sheldon, hello there. If you remember yesterday, we had a little debate about maybe a banana is missing for good luck. So I brought you a little banana just for the feeling, because obviously, I mean, Renee is going to make your life difficult. There's 17 points between you in the championship. You're the leader, but you're also starting in P2. So how is this race going to be? I'm sure it's going to make your life tough.
It's going to be a lot better than yesterday now that I have the banana. I even have a little pocket for it, you know, just for the banana. No, jokes aside, I think it's going to be a good race. It should be dry the whole way through, so I'm looking forward to that, obviously. We know each other pretty well, so I don't think we're going to do anything stupid, at least. We're both in the championship, so there's a lot to lose for us for sure. But we both want to obviously win. It's good for the championship. It'll give me a bit of a buffer to the front and or behind me at least, and that's obviously what I'm going to try and do.
All right, well, crossing our fingers. It's going to be super exciting. Thank you so much, Sheldon. And now here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Welcome then, everybody, to the second race of the weekend here at Spa for what's going to be round 12 of DTM 2022. I'm Chris Hartley here to talk you through all of the action, and we had an absolutely thrilling qualifying session this morning. The track started damp, it started on wet, and as it progressed, it dried and dried and dried, and I think we had about a dozen different drivers on provisional pole at one point or another. But crossing the line with a second to go to get one more lap in was Renee Rast, and it was he that snatched pole position by 44 thousandths of a second as almost the last driver to cross the line at the end of the session. Tommy Preining was just behind him but didn't improve. So Sheldon Van Der Linde, the championship leader, is going to be on the front row of the grid with the driver that's now second in the championship. Nick Cassidy with his best DTM qualifying, and Michael Grenier with his second best DTM qualifying are on row 2. And then we've got Maro Engel, who's unfortunate yesterday, and the driver on form at the moment, Maximilian Gutz, on row 3. Thomas Preining, Lucas Auer, Kelvin Van Der Linde and Felipe Fraga are all in the top 10. If you're watching qualifying this morning, you'll think the grid looks a bit different than I thought, and that's because 7 different drivers have picked up a grid penalty or will have a penalty in the race, most notably of which is Ricardo Feller, who's got a 10-place grid drop and is starting 17th instead of 7th. I'll go through that shortly, but let's head back down on the grid.
And I'm here with a birthday boy, Lucas Auer. Happy birthday there. Congratulations. You in good spirits today?
Yes, I'm okay.
Hopefully you're going to take home a birthday present for yourself. Who knows, right? I mean, maybe with the weather gamble, maybe something, because obviously from P8 it's going to be a pretty tough race for you.
Yes, but I will be aggressive, so let's see. If it goes well, it should be a good race. If not, then it will be a tough one.
But all in all, I mean, Spa is just so tricky, right? With the weather, I mean, I think everybody's probably thinking it's going to stay dry, but you never know here, and it's just such a challenging racetrack.
Yeah, I think it will stay dry, but it's you will see today will be very tough, and should be a good show.
All right, we're looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Luki. And now we're going to have a bit of a walk because we're heading towards Milko Bortolotti, who is starting in P20, which means all the way down here. And yeah, as Luki was saying, I mean, he's going to push really hard, but surely everybody's going to push really hard. Fact is that at the moment, Sheldon Van Der Linde is leading the pack, but then we've got Renee Rast and Milko Bortolotti, 17 points difference behind Sheldon. And that is, it's a tie because they both have 17 points, but Renee is second in the championship because he had won a race. So that's obviously how they count that. And Mirko Bortolotti is going to try his very, very hardest, that's for sure. But starting from P20, it's just going to be so tough. And here the racetrack is the longest racetrack in the calendar. And it's such a tough, but also such a legendary racetrack. And I can see Mirko Bortolotti is already standing there, and we're going to grab him. Whew, I can feel I'm getting a little out of breath because it's quite a walk. I mean, we've got so many cars, so many teams this year. It's just such an exciting season 2022. And there's Mirko Bortolotti. I can see him. That's always a good sign. So as I already mentioned, Mirko is starting in P20, and for him, it's going to be a very, very tough race. Hey there, Mirko. It's going to be a tough race, obviously. I was just saying, because you're starting from P20. What are you going to do?
Race
and push really hard, obviously. But I mean, with a strategy, how do you go about that? Because obviously it's still all about the championship at this point. There's 17 points between you and Sheldon and Renee, I guess. So, yeah, you're hoping for a miracle maybe, or maybe the gamble for the weather?
No, the weather will stay like this. I'm quite sure. There's no rain. I think there's no rain expected. But, of course, we are in Spa, so everything can happen. We are not in a great position, but we have a race ahead of us, so we can only try to make the most out of that, and that's the only thing we are focusing on.
And I guess if you're in the middle of the field, it's always most important also to stay out of trouble, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter where you start actually in this championship. If you're at the top or if you're in the middle of the field or in the back, you always have to try to stay out of trouble, and there is no guarantee for that.
All right, well, Mirko, best of luck for this race. It's definitely going to be a very exciting race, that's for sure. And we are getting ready for racing. So everybody enjoy, hold on tight. And here's your commentator.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, buckle up, everybody. A very focused Mirko Bortolotti there, the third in the championship after Renee Rast picked up his 3 points for qualifying on pole this morning. So, having led the championship going into the Nürburgring on the previous round, he's now third, and he's got to come from 20th on the grid. Yesterday, the reason was on a wet and then damp and then wet again circuit. He gambled on slick tyres, but just as he'd done that, towards the end of the session, it rained again. So he was 20th on the grid yesterday, and today it was a bit of a lottery with the track drying up, and he's 20th once again. But Bortolotti had a fantastic drive yesterday through the field to finish in 8th place. So still very much involved in this championship, but work to do for the Italian here again. So those grid penalties, Riccardo Feller, a 10-place grid drop. He would have started 7th. He will start 17th. Had a technical problem. They had to check the chassis and measure the chassis again just before qualifying this morning. To do that, they put the car up on trolley wheels, and you're not allowed to do that under the regulations. So that's why Riccardo is back in 17th place. Laurens Vanthoor has a 5-place grid drop, so he's gone from 20th to 25th, and that's not necessarily his doing. It's because the team, SSR Performance, were one of a number of teams that were given a ticking off and a fine for trying to dry their area of the pit box, the pit lane, either yesterday in the race or this morning in qualifying. You can do it, but you can only use a broom or a rubber sweep, and they use neither. And because Laurens has had a number of reprimands already, it's his third reprimand, he gets a grid penalty. So Paul Laurens down from 20th to 25th. Esteban Moot for track limits, a 3-place grid penalty, but he's only actually dropped 1 place from 21st to 22nd, the local driver, because others have had penalties around him. And then there are some drivers that, Clement Schmidt as well has had a 3-place grid drop for track limits. He's gone from 9th to 11th, only loses 2 because, again, others around him have dropped back as well. But there are some drivers that will have to take a penalty in the race because they would have been given grid penalties, but they didn't quite qualify high enough up the grid this morning for them to be able to take the full grid drop. So, for example, Rolf Inischen at coming together in yesterday's race with Maro Engel should have had a 10-place grid drop, but he can't take all of those grid positions, so he'll have a drive-through penalty in the race. And then we got David Schumacher, who would have a 12-place grid drop because of track limits offences. He had 7 track limits offences yesterday, but he can't take all of them, so he will have a stop-go penalty as well. And Dev Gore is another driver that will have a stop-go penalty in the race. It's a very mixed-up looking grid to what we had, but we have got the top 2 in the championship on the front rowers. Gerhard Berger, the former Formula 1 driver, and the ITR chairman, looks over the grid, and although it's not meant to rain, there are 1 or 2 clouds right above us in the skies. As we head into the autumn, the 6th weekend of the season brings us to the beautiful Ardennes region of Belgium. Despite having a small population of just over 10,500 inhabitants, the town of Spa is vibrant and it's one of the country's most popular destinations amongst tourists. As the name suggests, it's famous, of course, for producing natural mineral water, which is exported all around the world. Oh, and there's something else. Nestled in between the pretty Spa towns, the rolling hills and the lush forests is a racetrack. But not just any racetrack, one of the greatest circuits on earth. A 7-kilometre long roller coaster that includes just about every type of corner and challenge you can imagine. A favourite amongst drivers, fans and media, Spa-Francorchamps is about to play host to round 12 of DTM 2022 with the championship fast approaching boiling point. So there is the scene. Air temperature pretty much what it was yesterday, just over 17 degrees. Track temperature 21. It's meant to be dry, but what it's meant to do and what it actually does do in terms of the weather in this part of the world are two very different things. And you saw from that wide shot a couple of dark, menacing clouds hovering above. But although Renee Rast says one or two damp patches still out there, having spotted them on the run to the grid from the pit lane, it is largely dry. It's going to be a start on slick tyres for the drivers. 44 thousandths of a second then between Renee Rast and Sheldon Van Der Linde in qualifying. Sounds close, doesn't it? But that is only the 5th closest qualifying session we've had so far this year. The average gap this year between the top two in qualifying has been 89 thousandths of a second. It's ridiculously close. We've got 9 different race winners already so far this season. Sheldon Van Der Linde, the only multiple race winner, is the championship leader. Didn't score points yesterday after trying to come from 22nd on the grid. Another couple of laps I think he would have done because he was flying at the end of the race. But of course he has picked up points this morning by qualifying in 2nd place to get his tally off the mark. And then Nick Cassidy, what's he going to do? He's not involved in the championship fight at all. He's just trying to get a good result here for Ferrari in the Alpha Tauri AF course of the New Zealander, who's got plenty of damp and wet weather racing experience from his time over in Super GT and Japanese F3 over in Japan. He'll be one to watch. And Michael Grenier was really quick this morning as well. He'll start 4th. I think Maro Engel is one to watch. He was quick in the race yesterday until they had that coming together with Rolf Inischen, which resulted in a puncture. And Maxi Götz is the driver on form at the moment in terms of the one that's been able to actually string a set of results together, and that's the sort of consistency that led him to the 2021 title. Had a couple of wins here and there, and you can't entirely count him out of the championship either. He's 9th in the points at the moment, but there's only 42 points adrift, and there is 26 points potentially available for each of the remaining 5 races. So a big race coming up here. It's a slightly shorter race than we normally have due to a very busy timetable here and curfews and that sort of thing. So it's, as it was yesterday, going to be a 50-minute plus 1 lap race. The grid now cleared. We're just under 2 minutes away from the start of the race. With Renee Rast, the 3-time champion, still very much involved in this title fight despite a disappointing weekend at the Nürburgring. He's had 4 full seasons in the DTM. He's won the championship in 3 of them, and he finished 2nd in the other. And here he is 2nd again in this year's championship. So superstar who's having his last season as an Audi driver will lead them around what's a 7-kilometre long circuit for the formation lap before they get into the 2x2 start, and the charge down towards what's a really tight first corner at La Source, a first gear corner. Now remember, yesterday, or if you weren't watching, I'll tell you, there was quite the start to the race as we had Dennis Olsen, who incidentally is way down the grid, 21st on the grid for this one. He went on to win the race. He held the lead from pole position, came under fire into La Source from Tommy Preining, and then as he went out a little bit wide coming out of La Source, Lucas Auer, the birthday boy, 28 years young today, he got alongside him. They went 2 together into Eau Rouge. That was never going to fit, and it was Tommy Preining that came off worse with a very hair-raising moment, but an incredible piece of car control to get the car back on track. He was at a 90-degree angle. Somehow everybody missed him. He lost momentum. He dropped to 8th, but he fought back to finish on the podium. Afterwards, he was just relieved not to have had a big crash. So it should be an interesting run again here. And Lucas Auer said, right, we're going to go racing. He had a real opportunity to move up to 2nd in the championship yesterday with, at the time, Van Der Linde and Bortolotti both out of the points. He was 3rd in the standings, and he could have closed right up to the tail of Sheldon Van Der Linde, but he then, after having problems with the front left in the pit stop, had a puncture later on in the race when he was running in 2nd place and scored 0 points. So the cars then head off onto the formation lap here. And one last chance for the drivers to get an eye on where the damp patches may or may not be. Likely they're going to be towards the end of the lap. I spoke with Renee Rast this morning after qualifying, and he said, yeah, the final sector was, well, he said really it was slippery all the way from Le Combe all the way out to Blanchimont. So that second half of the circuit, which has more tree cover, took longer to dry up. So they're going to just have one more look at this. Good crowd here at Spa, overlooking the new grandstand, the run through Eau Rouge and up over Raidillon. So let's give you the grid with all those penalties applied. It is going to be Renee Rast and Sheldon Van Der Linde as your front row, Nick Cassidy and Michael Grenier on row 2. Row 3, Maro Engel and Maximilian Gutz. Row 4, Tommy Preining and Lucas Auer. And row 5, to complete the top 10, Kelvin Van Der Linde and Felipe Fraga. Then on row 6, Clement Schmidt and Marco Wittmann. They start 11th and 12th. Row 7, we've got Philipp Eng and Lucas Stolz. And then on row 8, Marius Zug and Nico Müller. Row 9, Ricardo Feller with his 10th-place grid drop and Arjun Maini. And row 10, to complete the top 20, Maximilian Buch and Mirko Bortolotti, third in the championship. Then we have got Dennis Olsen, yesterday's race winner, starting 21st with Esteban Moot, and a grid drop starting 22nd. That's the 11th row. The 12th row is David Schumacher, who had 7 track limits infringements in the race yesterday. You can get away with 3. Everyone after that, you get a 3-place grid drop. So should have had a 12th-place grid drop. Didn't qualify high enough to incorporate all of those, so he'll have to stop go in the race. Ralph Ineschen would have had a 10-place grid drop for the contact with Maro Engel. He can't serve all of those grid drops because he didn't qualify high enough, so he'll get a drive-through penalty in the race. And then we've got Dev Gore, likewise, will have a drive-through stop-go penalty because he starts 26, didn't qualify high enough to use all the grid drop places up. And then we've got Alessia Delayed at 27th. So the cars making their way around what, as you can see, is a largely dry circuit. And just finally to remind you that the top 3 in the previous race have to carry success ballast into this race. So as yesterday's winner, Dennis Olsen, not only has to start 21st, he also has to carry 25 kilograms of success ballast. Maximilian Gutz starts 6th. He was 2nd yesterday with his first podium of the season, so he'll have 15 kilograms of extra ballast on board the Mercedes. And 3rd yesterday was Thomas Preining, and he'll have 5 kilograms of success ballast on his Team Bernhard car. A few changes to the BOP since yesterday. The Audis are lighter. They've gone from 30 kilograms of ballast to 15. The Ferraris are lighter. They've gone from 25 to 10, so they've lost 15 kilograms as well. And the Lambos are slightly lighter. They've lost 5 kilograms. They've gone from 45 down to 40 of BOP ballast. The Porsches and the Mercedes have remained the same. So that just about brings you up to speed as we get ready to get up to speed here at Spa. Just 2 weekends to go after this one. The championship wide open. Hardly anybody able to get a run together. Everybody's having a good race, a bad race, a good weekend, a bad weekend. And as Renee Rast says, DNFs we've got to avoid at all costs at this stage of the season. Just keep trying to score points. What will unfold then? We're about to find out. The second race of the weekend here at Spa. It's round 12 of DTM 2022. Chris Hartley in the commentary box, trackside, overlooking the start-finish line, which is where they're about to come to. We're about to get into action then for 50 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. The red lights are on. Renee Rast, Sheldon Van Der Linde share the front row of the grid as the lights go out. We roar into life. Here they go. Philippe Eng to the left of the picture on the grass. Fraga trying to go around the outside, almost on the grass, but it's going to be Sheldon Van Der Linde that gets to the hairpin first. He's still on the outside line there. Renee Rast will get back alongside him on the exit of the corner, and 1 or 2 through the gravel trap, including Nico Müller, and 1 through the gravel trap has gone Rolf Ineschen. Further down the field, Nick Cassidy is held on to 3rd. Maro Engel is trying to get up there as well. Michael Grenier goes side by side, heading up through Eau Rouge for the first time in the race. It's with Maximilian Gutz there, still side by side with Lucas Auer, who's made a good start from 8th on the grid, just behind the 3 abreast. Behind that, Wittmann, Fraga and Stolz. But it's Sheldon Van Der Linde that he's going to get to the end of the Camel Straight first and pick up the lead of the race. So Rast down to 2nd. They ran side by side for 2 or 3 corners. 1 or 2 drift out wide, including Gutz and including Grenier as they go through the comp for the first time in the race, but everybody survives. So Van Der Linde leads, Rast in 2nd, Cassidy showing his nose into Brussels in 3rd in the Ferrari. Gutz in 4th place, Auer in 5th place, the birthday boy. And then it's Grenier 6th, Preining 7th, Engel 8th, Eng 9th and Stolz 10th. And the first few corners of this 50-minute plus 1 lap race. Others trying to come up the order. Nico Müller down to 24th after that run through the gravel trap. Ineos last but one. Schumacher, dead last at the moment, was also in trouble, so he's 27th and having a bit of a nightmare. Look at Nick Cassidy, look, in third place. The Ferrari all over the back of the Audi currently. Renee Rast, no success ballast because he was fourth in the race yesterday, but neither is Nick Cassidy. Neither is Sheldon Van Der Linde, who's trying to get the head down now in the BMW. Exiting the right-hander they go. This line of cars with Marius Soak just ahead of Laurens van Toor. And there is yesterday's winner in the background in the second of the yellow SSR Performance Porsches, Dennis Olsen. Winner yesterday, 23rd in the race at the moment. And that's DTM in a nutshell this year. Hero one day, you're a zero the next, and the next day you're a hero again. And through they come, exiting through towards Blanchimont, and a Paul Frere towards Blanchimont, and through then into the chicane at the end of the lap for the first time, with Renee Rast just about fending off at the end of the lap. The very fast starting Nick Cassidy, who's got the bit between his teeth. Had a quick chat with him this morning. He says it's nice to be finally up there, and he's up there now. Look, going for second place. The Ferrari with his nose in front, looking to go around the outside. Renee Rast is not going to let that happen. Bits of bodywork fly off the Audi, bits of bodywork fly off the Ferrari. No change of position, and all the time the two Mercs getting closer and closer. Guts and Grenier in fourth and fifth positions, and Auer not far back either, as they come downhill and swoop into Eau Rouge at full speed, climb up this almost vertical wall of tarmac up towards Radion, and head onto the long Camel straight now as they go up towards sixth gear. They'll brake when they get to the start of the curbs and go all the way down to second gear for Lecomte, so it's a big overtaking opportunity. And all the while, look, Sheldon Van Der Linde is getting away from them, and look at this, Lucas Auer has just drifted past the orange and white Michael Grenier car, so the Group M driver drops one, and Lucas Auer puts himself up into fifth place. He was fifth briefly on the first lap, slipped back to sixth, but he started eighth, remember, so he's had a really, really good start. Rolf Ineos has been into the pits already, I think probably to serve his drive-through, or maybe to have some damage fixed after going through the gravel trap, maybe the both. But he's last but one currently. And the race leader at the end of lap number one, 1.4 seconds clear for Sheldon Van Der Linde. Rast second, Cassidy in third place, and a bit of a gap, but not much of one to Guts in fourth place. Auer coming in fifth, still very much involved in this championship fight. For his best season in DTM in 2021 last year, he had 2 wins and a fifth place in the championship. He's one to watch on board with Esteban Mouk then, who is one of the local drivers, the Belgian driver. It's his first ever GT race at this circuit though. His first season was last year, and we didn't race at Spa last year, raced instead at Zolder, and he's trying to come from 21st place. He's got Dennis Olsen, yesterday's winner, behind him as 1 or 2 kick up the gravel. I think that was Kelvin van der Linde running a bit wide. He hasn't had a great start to the race, Kelvin. He's down in 11th place currently, but there's lots and lots of time left in this race. Still, the battle rages on for second place, but for now the Ferrari isn't quite as close as it was. Now there, Lucas Auer, having got past Michael Grenier on the previous lap, started to pull away from him and trying to catch up to Maximilian Guts now. They're 2 windward drivers. Here's a replay of the wide Leary moments. It was Fella, in fact, I think, that went through the gravel trap. And he wasn't the only one. There were 3 or 4 of them doing that. So the end of the second lap of the race, and here comes Nick Cassidy again, breathing down the neck of Renee Rast. Renee will just hog the inside line here. The Kiwi tries to come around the outside to try and maybe cut back on the way out of the corner, but Renee Rast positions the car beautifully and doesn't give him any opportunity. Meanwhile, Maro Engel is about to lose a place coming out of La Source because Philipp Enger's launched up the inside of him. Philipp with a good start to the race here in the second of the Schubert Motorsport BMW. So the Austrian will now find himself up to 8th behind another Austrian, Tommy Preining, in the Porsche. There he is, number 25. He didn't quite get through, in fact, so he nosed in front through the hairpin, but Maro Engel got him back on the run down towards Eau Rouge on this third lap of the race. Here's the battle for second. Renee Rast versus Nick Cassidy. No change as they go into Lecomte. And then we've got Guts in the first of a train of Mercedes. He's fourth, Auer's fifth, Grenier's sixth. And here the midfield battles involving the likes of Lucas Stoltz. Marco Wittmann is in there as well. Stoltz is the last of the point scorers at the moment, top 10 score points, and he is in 10th in that bright yellow number 4 Mercedes. Kelvin van der Linde still has aspirations for the championship title, just behind him. And then Marco Wittmann, then Felipe Fraga. Ricardo Feller's made up 3 places from his grid position after the grid penalty, but he's only in 14th place currently. Laurens van Toor has made up some places. He's into 18th, having started 25th. Everybody's still running. Ineos and Schumacher have both made their pit stops, so Schumacher would have done that to serve his 10-second stop-go penalty, get that out of the way. And he'll be hoping for a safety car to bunch them all up because he's a long, long way off the pack at the moment. But they're all still running. Right, replay of the start. And it was super tight at the top, as you'd expect, between the top two in the championship. Sheldon Van Der Linde to the righty picture in the red and yellow and white Schubert BMW. Got a really good run, but he was on the outside line. Renee Rast stayed with him. It all kicked off behind then. That was when Nico Muller was sent out through the gravel trap, and Rolf finishing right through the gravel trap. I think Esteban Moot got caught up in that as well. Lost a bit of the front of his BMW splitter. Yes, he did. In fact, finishing was just taking evasive action. He wasn't directly involved in the initial incident, but everybody just about survived it. So Van Der Linde has gone through with the fastest lap of the race.
Understood, Lucky, understood. Let's try to close the gap to the front. Let's try to close the gap to the front.
Miguel Grenier down the inside of Maxi Götz, who's already lost a place to Lucas Auer. So when we came back to them after the replay, Luki was up to 4th place. He got ahead of his teammate Maxi Götz, and Grenier then pounced on the way into the hairpin. And now you've got Tommy Preining trying to do the same. Hold your breath, side by side with Tommy Preining again up through Eau Rouge. This time, though, it's less dramatic than it was yesterday. He gets through.
Struggle front or rear?
I have so much others here, super much others here at the front.
Maxi Götz with understeer then reporting that. This is why potentially he's lost 3 places in less than a lap here. And then just behind the second of the pink Mercedes, albeit run by a different team, Grupper Emmy's Maro Engel. And he's got Philipp Eng still breathing down his neck. They've swapped and swapped back at least once so far. Lucas Stoltz is just behind them. Engel is 8th, Eng is 9th, Stoltz is 10th. And then the black and white Audi of Kelvin van der Linde just behind in 11th as they go into Brussels. But a long, long line of cars there, all tied together, all trying to get themselves up and into the points. The mandatory pit stop window is between the 10th and 40th minute of the race, and this is how Lucas Auer got past, under braking on the way into the bus stop chicane at the end of the lap. Perfect move, that, beautifully done by the young Austrian, and through he goes into 4th place, ahead of his teammate. 5th in the championship then, on a march from 8th to 4th for Lucas Auer. Now he gets his head down and tries to catch up to the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy. Grenier having his best race for some time there in 5th place. Preining, who's always up there these days, is next up in 6th in the Koos Team Bernhard Porsche. Götz in 7th, Engel 8th, Eng, Stoltz, Van der Linde, Wittmann, all in this long train, then battling the tail end of the points. Car 66, Marius Sugg, a 10-second time penalty for driving standards at the start. Presumably that was the trigger of that run through the gravel trap for a couple of cars at the exit to Le Source. So Marius Sugg's going to get a 10-second time penalty after qualifying pretty well, the 19-year-old, in the Attempto Audi. And look at this, Nick Cassidy really showing his nose. The AlphaTauri Ferrari goes right, goes left, looks to the right again. Is there a gap? No, because Renee Rast just closes the door in time. And the New Zealander thought about it, had a big, big look down the inside at Le Source, but the gap got closer and closer, and then it just shut. Look how close to the pit wall they get. The race leader goes through, 2nd and 3rd go through, downhill, uphill, change of direction. Huge forces on the body and on the tyres of the car as they sprint up over the crest and head through the right-hand kink, absolutely flat out, head up towards 6th gear, head up towards something in the region of 265 kilometres an hour down the Kemmel Straight, but still Renee Rast is able to fend off Nick Cassidy. But all the time he's battling the New Zealander, the race leader, his main rival for the championship, is getting away. Sheldon Van Der Linde, 3/10 quicker on the previous lap. His advantage now 2.029 seconds. What about Lucas Auer? He's just done his best lap of the race, 2:20.3. He was 4/10 quicker than the Rast-Cassidy fight. So having got through the traffic, Lucas Auer, the next one to watch in 4th place. The blue and white Winwood Mercedes catching up to this battle. And he's bringing Michael Grenier with him, and to a point, I think he's bringing the Porsche of Tommy Preining with him as well. They've all left behind that next group of cars, which is this battle we're watching here for 8th place between Engel, Eng, Stoltz, and, well, pretty much just about everybody else. They're almost inseparable on track here in DTM once again. So a lively first 11 minutes of the race. The pit window is now open, and we're going to see the first of the pit stoppers coming in. Everybody has to do a mandatory pit stop to change tyres in the race. The weather should be kind to us, although still, looking out the commentary box window, a couple of big black clouds not far above the start-finish line, but I think they're going away from us for the time being, and there are patches of blue sky elsewhere. So for now, it all looks good, it all looks calm, but you never, ever take the weather for granted at Spa-Francorchamps. So through they come, through the second sector, the middle sector. Renee Rast just gained a little bit of ground on Nick Cassidy. You can see there is a car length clear suddenly. It's a 10th quicker, but quicker than both of them. Quickest of anybody in the middle sector on that lap was Lucas Auer, and we've got pit stops now beginning to happen then. So with the window open, that's 1, 2 cars have darted into the pits, 3, 4 cars, and now all going for early pit stops. So Grenier was the first of the front runners to come in. And we've also got Felipe Fraga into the pits. Clement Schmidt has come in. Laurens Vanthoor has come in after a good start to the race. Mario Suga's come in and has got this penalty as well to serve for the incident at turn 1. And it was nose to tail as they went through the back of shot between second and third again. Renee Rast got away from Nick Cassidy at the end of the previous lap. He was reeled in again by Cassidy at the hairpin at La Source. Good stop then for the Schubert Motorsport crew, 8.8, but not as good as for the Red Bull of Felipe Fraga, the Ferrari, 7.9 seconds out. Tries to get his second points finish of the weekend, but he didn't quite jump the BMW, did he? So Engels stayed at the head of that queue, but only just. But it was a very, very good stop from the AF Corsa team, Amato Ferrari's team. So Fraga in the chance here of some points. Smoke from the back of the car as he gets up to speed. It will take less time to get the tyres up to temperature than for yesterday, that's for sure, with a much grippier track than we had yesterday at this stage of the race. Right then, we've got Felipe Fraga showing his nose on Philippe Eng as the drivers battle for position on the way into the right-hand part of Le Combe. But Philippe Eng holds the position. Grenier got out well ahead of them, so Grenier is the leading pit stopper. He was well clear of them before he came into the pit, so Grenier is the leading pit stopper, 21st. These two are 22nd and 23rd, but second and third of the pit stoppers for now. But realistically, both of them battling for points within the tail end of the top 10. And then you've got Vanthoor behind them, who's kind of getting in the mix now as well, given he started 25th. Laurens Vanthoor is just there in the background, but he'll have to make the tyres last a long time. Dennis Olsen said to me after the race yesterday, I think the Porsche suits this track because A, it's got good traction, which is really good out of the first gear corners like La Source and the chicane, but it's also got a short wheelbase, which makes it very nimble through certain sections, so the middle of the lap in particular. Right, Sheldon Van Der Linde stays out for now. Second and third, is there going to be anyone in the pits? No, it's still Rast, Cassidy on track, but Lucas Auer is coming in. And we've also got Thomas Preining coming in. So fourth and fifth coming into the pit lane to serve their mandatory pit stops now. And once again, Nick Cassidy goes wheel to wheel. There's contact between Renee Rast and Nick Cassidy. Absolutely clobbering into each other on the run down towards La Source. And these two are having a proper ding-dong. And now Cassidy draws alongside. He's between the Audi and the pit wall. They're side by side as they go down towards Eau Rouge. But Cassidy is in front here. Renee Rast is not going to give up. And Cassidy, who's not worried about championship points, goes through. But Rast is still with him as they go over the crest at Radion. They're absolutely together now. Wing mirror to wing mirror as they go onto the Camel Straight, firing themselves up through the gears to top gear. And inside line is going to be long to Nick Cassidy. Surely is going to get through here and put himself into second place. Renee Rast has got championship points to think about. And Cassidy should be through and is. Wow, that was a very robust battle, wasn't it? Which started on the run down the pit straight down towards La Source. They've clipped each other a couple of times, but that was a proper hit. Bits of bodywork flying off, not for the first time. Here's a replay. Look at this. Rast comes across there to defend his position, finds the Ferrari is already there, and then the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy got the better run coming out of La Source. Rast was brave on the curbs, trying to keep his position heading up the track, but it must be at the back of his mind that he's got a championship to fight for. Nick Cassidy's not really thinking about championship points. He's way down the point standings. So Cassidy, with some brave driving there, gets through, having shadowed Renee Rast since the very, very beginning of the race. You hope there's no serious damage to either the Ferrari or the Audi now, because that was one heck of a hit when they came together. It's a black and white flag for track limits for Marco Wittmann. So one of the drivers that's got to be careful here. We had 14 drivers this morning in qualifying that lost lap times to track limits, and most of them, once again, were at Blanchimont. So Lucas Auer, having made his pit stop while all that drama was happening, came out ahead of Preining and ahead of Grenier as well. So the leading pit stopper is Lucas Auer. Grenier was behind him and still is behind him. Lucas had enough to be able to get his tyres up to temperature and keep Grenier at bay. So Auer is the leading pit stop, at Grenier second, Preining third, and then Eng fourth, Fraga fifth, and Bortolotti sixth. But the pit stops are going to keep coming thick and fast in amongst the front runners now then. So in come 3 of our top 10 runners. Rast is first in, Maximilian Gotz has come in as well, and the third driver to come in was Sheldon Van Der Linde. So their race now is going to be with those that have already made their pit stops. Lucas Auer. Can Renee Rast get out ahead of Lucas Auer? Wasn't that far ahead of him, and of course he would have lost time with that contact and that battle with Nick Cassidy. So Auer's got a chance here. We'll have his tyres up to temperature. Rast should be the first away. Decent stop from the team. They were good yesterday at Abt, 8.5 seconds. Sheldon Van Der Linde, 9 seconds, slightly slower. Not a great stop, though, for Winwood, 10.6 seconds. Right, the blue and white Mercedes and Lucas Auer is just coming out of the hairpin now. He is going to be behind Renee Rast, but his tyres are already up to temperature, and Lucas Auer should be able to fire past the 3-time champion and get himself effectively the net lead of the race here, as Gotz and Van Der Linde and Eng go to battle with Eng already. Tyres up to temperature on that car as well. And then Fraga, of course, he was having a battle with. So here comes Lucas Auer, and I'm sure he's going to go for it because that's the way he drives. Renee Rast will try his best to keep him behind, though. The Audi does somehow keep the Mercedes behind. Still getting his tyres up to temperature here. These are first, second and third of the pit stoppers. Rast, Auer and Grenier. The Canadian having a great drive here. Cobbles the curb a bit and gets a bit of a wobble on coming out of Malmedy. Go downhill now into Brussels. It's a slight cambered corner as well, this. Go all the way back on themselves, and Rast doing a really good job here of getting those tyres straight up to temperature. He's actually started to edge away from Lucas Auer, and he's going to have better tyres at the end of the race because he had a later pit stop. One thing that none of them really know that much about is tyre degradation, because we had the 2 free practice sessions which were largely dry on Friday but had rain at the end of them, and then the weather hasn't been kind ever since then, so it's a bit of a venture into the unknown in terms of how the tyres are really going to hold up for a long stint. Got 31.5 minutes to go plus 1 lap at the end of this, so still a fairly long time to look after the tyres. Sheldon Van Der Linde is pretty happy with his tyres. He stays out. Nick Cassidy in second place stays out. Maro Engels should be next and is. He's third. And then we've got Lucas Stoltz in 4th place, and Maro Engel comes into the pits now. So Engel in, group behind all stay out for now. So Engel looking quick yesterday. It was all going well just until after he came out of the pits, and that coming together at the chicane with Renischen. He's been rapid here this weekend, the German. So Maro Engel on his return to DTM. Tyre change, rears first, then they move to the fronts. 4 of them working on the car at the same time, and then released. Good stop, 8.8 seconds, not absolutely mega, but not bad. Dev Gore in. He'll have to serve a time penalty as well. Right, there come the train of cars. So Maro Engel is going to tuck in, perhaps behind Tommy Preining, perhaps behind Maxi Gotz, who's struggling here at the moment to try and keep the BMW Philippe Eng behind him. He's going to rejoin just in front of that battle luck, but I don't think he'll be able to fend them off on the run to Eau Rouge. You've got Felipe Fraga all over the back of Sheldon Van Der Linde as well, as they came out of the La Source hairpin. The Ferraris really going on the attack here. Both of them finishing in the points yesterday. Still keeping the car out there though. Happy with the tyres for now. His last lap was a 2:20.996. So hasn't really lost much pace in the tyres as yet. You're on board with the championship leader, Sheldon Van Der Linde. There you go, his best lap at 2:20.2, his last lap at 2:29. So the pace is still strong, it's still good, despite having used the tyres for the best part of 20 minutes now in the race. It's a smooth driver as well, is Sheldon. Going along nicely. He's pushing on. He said to me this morning, I actually tried slick tyres right at the start of qualifying, but it didn't work, so he came back in and changed pretty quickly. Esteban Moot released, and this is going to be tight, and having to just back off the throttle a bit there was Alessio De Leda. And then we got Laurens Vanthoor coming out, and then there was contact between the Porsche and the Lamborghini as Vanthoor was released, so they might well be looking at that. Warning for Renee Rast for exceeding track limits as well. The 2 drivers have got to be a little bit careful. Do it for a 4th time, and time penalties will be applied in the race. So the top 10 have all yet to make their pit stops, but in has come the race leader and the championship leader, Sheldon Van Der Linde. So Nick Cassidy will pick up the lead of the race for now, and in comes Sheldon. An important stop this then for Schubert Motorsport. Renee Rast, that's who he's really battling here, and Lucas Auer as well is only 0.46 of a second behind Rast. He should be out in time, even if it's not the best pit stop in the world, because he had a decent cushion. It's not the best pit stop in the world, 11 seconds. They've lost 2.5, 3 seconds there, really, over a really good pit stop. It'll seem like forever coming out of the pits.
Push like hell on the outlet. Push like hell.
Yeah, push like hell, Sheldon. You're going to have to, because here they all come. Rast, Auer, the top 2 pit stoppers. They're having their own battle, which might help. And look, out wide goes Michael Grenier. So Tommy Preining gets up the inside of him to become the 3rd of the pit stoppers. Van der Linde has rejoined ahead of them all, as he should have done, but his advantage might be much reduced by the time he gets the tyres up to temperature. He didn't have the best of pit stops there, according to the timer that we had. So they'll all be fairly close to him. They won't be right on him, but they'll be fairly close to him when they get to the end of this straight. However, he will have slightly fresher tyres at the end of the lap, still weaving to try and generate heat. So the virtual leader is Sheldon Van Der Linde. These are 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th net, having already got their pit stops out of the way. But we've still got 8 cars yet to make their pit stop. Cassidy, Stoltz, who's 2nd, Wittmann, who's 3rd, Feller in 4th from 17th on the grid, Book, Miney, Olsen from way down the grid, and Muller, who was near the back of the field after the coming together, exiting turn 1 at the start of the race. You can still see damp patches on the circuit here, so still got to be careful, but on the line it's good. And still with a nice advantage as he comes into Pouhon then for Sheldon Van Der Linde. So he's 9th at the moment, but the 8 cars in front of him will all drop behind him once they make their pit stops. Where did the time get lost? Is it easy to unpick from this? The front left was a bit sticky. That front right was off a couple of seconds earlier. Not happy at Schubert with that. Not the ideal pit stop.
Push like hell on the outlet. Push like hell.
Torsten Schubert, the team principal, getting a bit stressed. They've got a championship on the line here, and every point counts, every second counts, but it's all right. They got away with it. I think they're helped by the fact that Sheldon had a good in-lap, and Renee Rast and Lucas Auer were really fighting each other as Rennie got his tyres up to temperature. So all in all, no problem. Incident between cars 6 and 10 noted. That was the delayed moot incident. And there'll be another one, I'm sure, popping up on the screen soon regarding that release from SSR Performance of Laurens Vanthoor. Right, so still keeping Lucas Auer at bay is Renee Rast. And a time penalty is being applied, a 5-second time penalty for Renee Rast. That's the incident that he had, the coming together into this corner with Nick Cassidy. So Renee Rast, 2nd in the championship and a net 2nd in the race, is going to get a 5-second time penalty. So 5 seconds will be added onto his time at the end of the race. Now at the moment, he's nowhere near 5 seconds clear of the 3 cars behind him. So if it stayed like this, he would drop behind Auer, he'd drop behind Preining, and he'd drop behind Grenier as well. As long as they stay within 5 seconds of him, they're all ahead of him on the road. So at the moment, it's going to drop him from a net 2nd to a net 5th place. And this is the driver that he had that coming together with, but the officials have determined that it was Renee's fault, and he's been given by the officials this penalty, having moved across with the Ferrari on the outside of him, going into the hairpin. They are ready down at AF Corsa for their man, the current race leader. Been putting some pretty good laps in as well. 2 minutes 20.3 last time around, which I think I'm right in saying the fastest man on the track, just slightly quicker than Maro Engel, who's 16th at the moment, but also did a 2:23 for Esteban Moot as well. So they're all pushing on, but bearing in mind they've got new tyres. This man you're watching here, he's not got new tyres at all. He's towards the end of his stint here. So Nick Cassidy, very, very, very good lap last time around. 2:20.3 on all tyres. It might be enough to keep him well ahead of the Rast Auer fight, and he might get him quite a bit closer to the race leader, or the net race leader, Sheldon Van Der Linde. Because remember, Sheldon, not a great pit stop. Ferrari had a good pit stop with Fraga. If they can do something similar, 8 seconds or thereabouts, then he's going to be a lot closer to Sheldon Van Der Linde than he was before all of this happened. In he comes then, Nick Cassidy, to make his mandatory pit stop with just over 24 minutes to go. Over to you, AF Corsa. What can he do? They change their rears. move swiftly, firmly to the front. Get them changed. Arms up. You can go. Great stop. 7.6 seconds as Marco Wittmann comes in the background. He lights up the tyres. He has to stick to the pit lane speed limit. Sheldon Van Der Linde, look, he's just coming out of the chicane. Just about to go over the start-finish line. And Nick Cassidy is coming down the pit lane now. Once he gets to the white line, he can accelerate. He's going to think just about be ahead of Sheldon Van Der Linde, but his tyres won't be up to temperature. So this is effectively for the race lead. Cassidy, with that great pit stop, that fantastic couple of in-laps, has got his nose in front here, and he's going to have to make that Ferrari as wide as he possibly can for the next 30 seconds, because Sheldon Van Der Linde is coming. Through Eau Rouge they go, over the crest at Raidillon, onto the Kemmel Straight. The Ferrari looking to just keep that line now. Dives across to the right. Cassidy with one eye in the mirrors. He weaves to generate heat of the tyres. He goes to the inside, and Sheldon Van Der Linde draws alongside on the outside. But Cassidy should be able to hold the position into the turn. What about the left-hander? It's not going to be favouring the Ferrari, but the BMW stranded on the outside line now for Malmedy. Now he tries to cut back up the inside, and Van Der Linde might just have this at the next corner. The right-hander, I think he's going to do it down the inside. Is he? No, because super late on the brakes at Brussels is the Ferrari driver Nick Cassidy. Still holds on somehow as he gets the tyres up to temperature, and everybody gets closer to them as they continue to battle. So Cassidy, the net leader. A thrilling few corners there. Sheldon Van Der Linde shows his nose again, but there's no way through at Pouhon. He gets an eye on the mirrors as well. He probably has the information that Renee Rast has got this time penalty. That might play into his mind as well. You don't necessarily need to win the race, just need to be beating those around you in the points. And Nick Cassidy is not one of the drivers around him in the points. He's way down the championship table, but he definitely would like the race win here, and the extra 7 points that will come with it. 25 for a win, 18 for second. 22 minutes to go. And Nick Cassidy is going to have fresher tyres than everybody in this group behind him once he gets them up to temperature, having got that few extra laps. The BMW looks planted, doesn't it? It's very quick through the speed traps on Friday, all the BMWs, so it should be strong towards the end of the lap as they go through Blanchimont and down towards the chicane, all over the curbs. Careful, four wheels off the curbs, and it's a track limits warning. Cassidy pushing on. He has to push on to keep the BMW behind. He succeeds. He clobbers the curbs. The Ferrari stays ahead. The BMW is the quicker of the two at the moment, no doubt about it, but Van Der Linde can't find a way through it all the time. Renee Rast is carrying this 5-second time penalty. He's getting closer and closer in the mirrors. Cassidy has a really good exit, though, coming out of the bus stop chicane, and he'll be safe for now in the net lead of the race going through La Source. So others are coming to the pit. Stoltz and Feller. So that just leaves 4 drivers yet to make their pit stop. Maxi Boot picks up the lead of the race, looking for his first points of the season. Look how close the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy gets to the pit wall as he takes the ideal line into Eau Rouge. They hold on absolutely flat out. The change of direction, the change of undulation from downhill to uphill, all happens at the same time, and you just have to pick your line, hold on to the throttle, and wait and hope the car sticks, which it does. Third place is Olsen, fourth is Muller, but they've all got to make their pit stop. So this, effectively, is the battle for the lead of the race between Cassidy, looking for his first ever DTM race victory, and what would be the team's second win of the season after Felipe Fraga was victorious at the Norris Ring a few weeks ago. And the man behind him, the championship leader, looking for what would be a 4th race victory of the season. Renee Rast third on the road, or net third on the road, but he's got 5 seconds to add to his time. He needs to pull away from the likes of Lucas Auer, just behind him, Tommy Preining. So here they come, those that haven't made their pit stop, and those that have. Nick Cassidy still under huge pressure here. The BMW driver, Sheldon Van Der Linde, the New Zealander leads, the South African in second. On the road, Renee Rast, the German driver, is third, but with the penalties applied, he's going to drop back behind at least 2 cars for now. But the further away he can pull, the more chance he's got of staying on a podium. But you'd have to get past this pair and pull away by more than 5 seconds if he wanted to win the race, and that is not, I don't think, going to be an easy thing to do. A black and white flag for track limits for Arjun Maini. Add his name to the list. Maini going through as one of the 4 yet to make their pit stops. Still the pit window will be open for a little while yet, and really looking anxious to get past here and into the net lead of the race is Sheldon Van Der Linde. Really got on the brakes on the way into the chicane. This is where the Ferrari seems to pull away though, coming out of the corner. Look, he just pulls a car and a half length away from the BMW, and that will give him some breathing space for at least one corner into La Source. And I guess the answer to the question of did the Ferrari or did the Audi of Cassidy and Rast respectively suffer any long-term damage with that hit they took? I suppose no is the answer, because they're both still running fine, both still flying along in this race. And down they go. Max Seebuck and Nico Muller have both come into the pits now. Fantastic shot here. Look at this. Lucas Auer all over the back of Tommy Preining. Preining ahead of Auer, though. And so Tommy Preining just leads the Mercedes up over the crest at Raidillon. A podium on the cards here for Tommy Preining for the second time, because the driver ahead of him, Renee Rast, has got this time penalty to be added on. So effectively, Tommy Preining and Lucas Auer, as it stands, are battling over the final spot on the podium. And this was how he did it. We saw the end of the move. Got a really good run coming out of La Source. Despite everything that happened yesterday, he's very brave, isn't he, Thomas Preining? And of course, it was with Lucas Auer that he had the coming together at Eau Rouge. He made sure he was well clear this time. Fastest lap of the race has gone to Rolf Inischen. You can only get the bonus point if you finish in the top 10, though. It doesn't then move to the second fastest driver. It's either a point awarded or not, whether you're in the top 10. But Inischen with a very good lap there, the Swiss driver. But he's back in 26th place currently. We haven't seen or heard much about Mirko Bortolotti since the start of the race. He's currently in 13th place. Just set his personal best lap last time around, which was a 2:19.8, which is much quicker than anybody ahead of him. So Bortolotti marching towards a potential points finish once again. Yesterday picked up 4 or 5 places with some really good moves at the end of the race. And he's now going after Lucas Stoltz in 12th place, then Maro Engel, then Philipp Eng. If he can get past them, he can get into the points. So we'll keep an eye on Bortolotti's progress and see if he can do anything special in the remaining quarter of the race. Right then, Arjun Maini, Dennis Olsen, your top 2, but they've got to make their pit stops fairly soon, and they'll drop down somewhere out of the top 10, I think, into the middle of the pack. Maini's going to come in. He's also going to come in or stay out. Stay out is the answer, but he's already got, like Nick Cassidy and Sheldon Van Der Linde, breathing down his neck, and he's still got to make his pit stop. And he's got this success ballast on board. So the Indian driver, Arjun Maini, comes into the pits. Nick Cassidy won't want to get held up by the Porsche for very long at all. And he wants to get past Dennis Olsen, but Dennis isn't a back marker. He doesn't need to wave the Ferrari through. Cassidy flashes the headlights. Please move, he says. Please get out of my way. But he's under no obligation to do so, Dennis Olsen. He picks his line, sticks to his guns, and heads up over the crest into Raidillon onto the Kemmel Straight. But not quite close enough to attack at this phase is the BMW of Sheldon Van Der Linde. Pretty sure Cassidy's going to have a stab at the inside here at the end of the Kemmel Straight, and sure enough, through he comes. But I don't think Sheldon's going to get there, is he? So there'll be a bit of a cushion for Nick Cassidy now in the shape of Dennis Olsen for the next few corners, because I don't think, unless Dennis gets out of the way, and I don't think he would necessarily. Oh, no, he's already through. I was going to say, I don't think there's any real way through here, but I think he's let Sheldon go. So Van Der Linde through. Now, what can Preining do? Well, he doesn't need to get Renee Rast to pass him. He's already effectively passed him once you add 5 seconds onto Renee's time. So he's already effectively third. Can he catch the BMW of Van Der Linde and the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy is the question. So he's well clear now of Lucas Auer, the birthday boy, who's running in, well, a net 4th potentially, as long as he's within 5 seconds of Renee Rast. Although he's dropping back, Renee's pace is good. Rast's last lap was a 2:23, Auer was a 2:21.6. So actually, we'll get to the point in a couple of laps where Renee Rast is far enough ahead of Lucas Auer to be able to keep at least that position, even though he's got 5 seconds to add on to his time. He is, though, already effectively behind Thomas Preining. So this, effectively, your battle for the lead of the race. It is the battle for the lead of the race now, because they've already got past Olsen, of course. They're already first and second. Olsen in the background had them queuing up behind him. And here we go, using all the track and then some, and they've got past Olsen. Olsen being fair here and letting the real front runners through, even though he doesn't necessarily have to. He's not being blue flagged. He's not a back marker. It is for position. But Olsen being more than fair here, and he heads for the pits now as the last of the stoppers, just trying to salvage a point out of this if he can. So Cassidy leads, Van Der Linde in second. Van Der Linde set the absolute best third sector time on that last lap and was 2/10 quicker, 2.5 tenths quicker than the Ferrari. So the gap is coming down. Renee Rast has got Tommy Preining breathing down his neck, but Preining is already effectively third once you add the penalty on to Rast. But he want to get past him, hope these two battle each other, and he might have an outside chance here of getting involved in the fight for the race victory. So we'll see what he can do, and we'll probably need to get past Renee Rast ASAP. Rast will not want to let that happen, though. We want to keep Preining behind and then try and pull away from him, and still continue to try and pull away from Lucas Auer. Auer at the moment is only 2.4 seconds behind Rast, so Rast will drop behind Auer as well. And he's actually still behind Grenier, who's another 9/10 of a second behind. So as it stands, Rast is going to drop from third to 4th, 5th, 6th place. Needs to pull further away from them. Into Brussels they go then, the Audi and the Porsche. What about the gap from first to second? Sheldon Van Der Linde quicker than Nick Cassidy through sector 1 as well by 1/10 of a second. So the gap down to less than 8/10 of a second now into the long middle sector, which is around about 61, 62 seconds long. Takes them all the way to the exit to Stavolo. So this is the sector they've really got to hook up to get the ideal lap around here. And all the time, the gap dwindling between the Ferrari and the BMW at the head of the field. Can Nick Cassidy get his maiden victory? Can he become, ridiculously, the 10th different winner of the season in that Ferrari? Or is it going to be the championship leader going for it? Will he go for it if he gets a chance? Or will he take the 18 points? Mirko Bortolotti had a chance for victory against a Ferrari a couple of weekends ago, and it didn't pay off. And instead of finishing first or second, he finished out of the points. Will that be at the back of Sheldon's mind? Will he take a less risk and just go for second? Knows he's going to beat Renee Rast here. Even if Renee were to overtake him and finish 4 seconds ahead of him, he's still going to beat Renee Rast, who is his nearest rival in the points. He knows Bortolotti is down the order, but rising up the order because he's 11th now, Mirko Bortolotti, and only 0.4 of a second behind Maro Engel. So he's almost in the points here. There he is, just coming into the chicane. There are 2 or 3 more he can pick off as well, like Philipp Eng and Lukas Stolz. So could be another rise from 20th potentially to 8th place for Bortolotti. He will go for it, no doubt about that. So Cassidy's advantage just over a second with 11 minutes 40 seconds to go. Van Der Linde pushing on. Tommy Preining is really good once again in that Porsche coming out of the La Source hairpin. Really does get great traction out of the first gear corner. Fires it through Eau Rouge over the crest at Raidillon, but he's not quite going to be close enough to get ahead of Rast, who is as brave as anybody through the most famous corner on the circuit. And probably just about the most famous corner in the world, Eau Rouge. So yes, indeed, the Audi far enough clear. But Preining will know, you don't need to do this. You don't need to go for it. He'll have Timo Bernhard in his ear as well, saying, don't take any risks. Like yesterday, after the race, Tommy said, I've learned that you don't always have to go for it. Just accept what you've got sometimes. And I backed off at the end of the race, didn't make a mistake, and picked up a podium position in 3rd place. And he is becoming a real consistent front runner, a bit like Lucas Auer last year. Second half of the season has been absolutely mega for Thomas Preining this year. He's learnt quick, hasn't he? It's his first season in the DTM. Right, live championship standings, 26 points between Sheldon Van Der Linde and Renee Rast as it stands. Now Sheldon was 21 points clear of Mirko Bortolotti at the start of the weekend. If you can come out of this weekend with a bigger championship lead, then it's all good. And this is Philipp Eng versus Lukas Stolz, and the Nürburgring race winner goes through in the Mercedes on the replay. So those two fighting over 7th place. Stolz, Engel, Eng, Bortolotti, all in the fringes of the points. Bortolotti in 10th place now. Felipe Fraga, this man's teammate, out of the points, back in 11th in the Red Bull AF Corsa machine. The first time this year he's finished a race but not been in the points. If that's the case, it would only be his 4th finish of the season for the Brazilian. But his teammate here is absolutely driving brilliantly. Really put those great laps in together coming into his pit stop, which gave him the advantage, and a mega pit stop from the team as well. He's got less than 10 minutes to hang on to this, plus 1 lap at the end of the 50. What's the gap as they go across the line? 1.2 seconds. Once again, they are pushing each other, because on that lap, the final sector was the absolute best, but this time for Nick Cassidy. 2:19.5 for him, 2:19.8 for Van Der Linde. The gap grows a little bit between the two of them. Renee Rast still trying to fend off Tommy Preining just behind. Look at that, 240 kilometres an hour, the highest speed through Eau Rouge. Absolutely insane as they go through there. Not many people in the world could do that. As Mirko Bortolotti said to me yesterday, you go around here in a road car at about 100 kilometres an hour and it's pretty terrifying. So never mind a GT3 flat out. Right, here we go. Renee Rast slowing. He's got a puncture. Look, left rear puncture for Renee Rast. Second in the championship. He'd already got the time penalty. Things have gone worse.
See it on TV now.
Oh, Renee Rast picks up a puncture. We can't have a DNF, he said to Verena at the start of the race. I'm afraid he's probably going to get one. Well, it's the latest in a long
Park
list.
the car on a safe spot.
Latest.
A long way to back to the garage, you will damage the car.
Yeah, you wonder if it was that, don't you? That coming together with Rast and Cassidy. Although, changed the tyres since then, but it could have been bodywork damage, rubbing on the tyre. Could have been a number of things. We don't know. We won't guess, but the net result is the end of the race. The end of any chance of scoring points for Renee Rast in this one. And that might just filter into Sheldon Van Der Linde's thinking now, because he's way going to outscore Renee Rast. He's going to get 18 points more than him. Bortolotti is his nearest rival. He's only going to get 2 points for 9th. So he's going to score 16 more points than Bortolotti as well. It's going to have a very, very nice championship advantage here. Even if he doesn't get the race win, he's going to move on to 130 points. Bortolotti will move on to 95, one behind Rast. So yeah, it's going to be a 34-point advantage by my quick maths for Sheldon Van Der Linde. Started the weekend with a 21-point advantage. Somebody, as I said though, not really interested in championship points, just interested in being victorious, is Nick Cassidy, and he's starting to pull away now on the last couple of laps from Sheldon Van Der Linde. So on course for a maiden victory for himself. That car was a race-winning car last year at the hands of Alex Albon at the Red Bull Ring. But the 28-year-old from Auckland in New Zealand, he's looking good as Renee Rast, a disconsolate figure, the 3-time champion, walks away. He'll have to get a lift back to the pits. His race over. Bortolotti is half a second behind Eng. 8th place on the cards here, although Philip Eng is not going to be an easy driver to overtake. So Cassidy leads, Van Der Linde is 2nd, Preining is 3rd, Auer 4th, Grenier 5th, Stoltz 6th, Engel 7th, Eng 8th, Bortolotti 9th, and Fraga back into the points now in 10th place. And there you can see from the graphic how the pit stop really did work in favour for the Ferrari driver Nick Cassidy, plus his mega laps in to that pits and a really good lap out of the pits as well to hold on to his position. Remember, Sheldon Van Der Linde was all over the back of him for 2 laps really once he got the tyres up to temperature, and stayed with him after that as well. But now, just now, Cassidy started to look more and more comfortable in the race. He's a former Super Formula champion, he's a former Super GT champion, a Japanese F3 champion, a double Toyota Racing Series champion. The man knows how to win. He's also been a front runner in the Formula E Championship for the last couple of years, including this year as well. So he is well versed at running at the front of a field. Clement Schmidt, I'm afraid, weekend that's promised much with his qualifying pace, comes to an end. He's out of the race as well, gets out of the car. Renee Rast discussing things with the marshals. How do I get back, he says, but full course yellow now comes out. All right, bit more drama than everybody. Just as it was starting to settle down, 5 minutes, 24 seconds to go, full course yellow. We have got, it's 4, I think, Renee Rast's car, so it won't take long because it's already off the road, but they just want to wheel it away. In theory, the gap should remain the same between everybody. In theory, we'll see. But it's just a bit of stress here. Oh, hang on. Van Der Linde was ahead briefly of Cassidy, realises that that shouldn't be the case, and the Ferrari back through. So slight bit of confusion there, but Sheldon Van Der Linde doing the absolute right thing and making sure the Ferrari gets back past him. What he needs to do is make sure he's no closer than he was. Whether that was the BMW going too quick or the Ferrari going too slow, don't know. But anyway, Sheldon doing the right thing there and not gaining an advantage. So, Preining, how far behind is he? Too far behind, probably. Lost a bit too much time behind Renee Rast. He's 10.5 seconds adrift of that battle for second place. There's the replay. So Nick Cassidy kind of slowed right down. Sheldon Van Der Linde went past him and then did the right thing and backed off. Slightly odd that, but they've swapped around again anyway. But they definitely take a look at that, the officials. The teams will be saying, well, this is what happened. But anyway, the end result is they're in the right order. The gap looks about what it was and should be okay, hopefully, to continue. Nothing's been looked at as yet. Right, full course yellow. They've gone through over the start-finish line. And the leader's going through La Source. But under full course yellow conditions, the lap only takes 2 minutes 20 seconds normally, or less, but it's taken 3 minutes and 5 seconds to get round here, and there's only 3:30 left on the clock. So it could be, if we get going again on this lap, the end of this lap, one more lap, just about time for one after that as well, the 50+ one that we've got for this race. I think 2 laps plus the one they're on. Depends how quickly that full course yellow is cleared. Right, there you go. Lucas Sauer, of course, is scoring good points, isn't he? 12 for 4th place. He'll move on to 98. Rast 96, Bortolotti 95. So Lucas Sauer started the weekend 3rd of the championship. If he stays like this, he'll have gone from 3rd to 5th yesterday and 5th to 2nd today. So the birthday boy might not be on the podium, but he will be 2nd in the championship if it stays like this. He's got Grenier not far behind him, and they're both Mercedes drivers, but they're for different teams. Winward for Auer and Gruppe M for Grenier. It's 4 Mercedes together, because Stolz and Engel are behind in 6th and 7th as well. Right, everybody bunched up together now. Renee Rast might not be involved in the championship fight in terms of points in this race, but he's had an effect on the race anyway, hasn't he, with this full course yellow. DTM Formation Restart there will be then. So formation restart there will be, and it's going to be a short sprint to the end of the race, isn't it? So this gets a bit stressful now because Nick Cassidy was just starting to look very comfortable in the lead of the race. He's not going to be comfortable anymore. Then you got Sheldon Van Der Linde thinking, I was kind of happy with 2nd place. Nobody was really behind me, but now everybody's behind me. Don't want this to go wrong. Thomas Preining thinking, here's a chance because I was 10 seconds behind. I'm now right behind Sheldon Van Der Linde. And if I can get past him, can I get past the Ferrari and get a win here? This is going to be fascinating. It's going to be edgy. It's going to be stressful for everybody involved. And it's probably not going to be straightforward. Lucas Sauer 4th. What can he do? Can he get a podium on his 28th birthday? Or is he going to risk it? Because the life points, he's up to 2nd place on 98. 32, though, adrift of the driver currently in 2nd there in the BMW, number 31, Sheldon Van Der Linde. 5th in his first season of DTM, back in the Class 1 days. And one of the few drivers on the grid that's raced in the DTM at this circuit when we were last here in 2020, but in very different cars and with a different team. So the formation restart is going to happen at the end of this lap, I believe. And we are into the final minutes of the clock as well. So it's 50 minutes plus 1 lap. Well, they get to the start line before the clock ticks down, in which case 2 laps or not. Can add up to 2 laps on if there's a safety car involved, but there isn't a safety car involved in this. It's a full course yellow, something that's introduced for this season.
Tire warming. No tire warming anymore. No waving, okay?
Right. Don't do that, then. No tyre warming. Not anymore. Don't risk it. Right, here we go. What about Bortolotti as well? Watch for him, 9th place. This is an opportunity for him, a real opportunity to grab a few bonus points. He's 9th. He's come from 20th on the grid in the number 63 Barassa Racing Team Lamborghini. I'm sure Bortolotti is just going to go for it as well. So that's going to be lively. What about Laurens Vanthoor? He's come from 25th on the grid. He's 11th at the moment. He's not going to want to finish 11th. He's going to want to finish in the points for all of his efforts to get as far up the field as he has. So, interesting dynamics here. And we're about to find out how Orlan plays. Well, the clock has ticked down to 0. They haven't got back yet. So, it's going to be one crazy lap of racing here in the DTM at Spa to round out the weekend. And would you believe, finally, the sunshine has come out as well, right in the final portions of the final track activity of the weekend. It's a sunny Spa for the first time in, 3 days. will the sun shine on Nick Cassidy, or will it be Sheldon Van Der Linde, or will it be somebody else? Tommy Preining, I think, will have a go here. Bortolotti, watch for him there. Fifth back on the left-hand side in the green and black number 63 Lamborghini. The formation side-by-side restart about to get underway once the lights are released. The drivers have to wait for it. They can't go until those lights go out. So here we go then, the green light, and Cassidy gets a good restart here as they go towards La Source for the final time. And Sheldon Van Der Linde trying to go around the outside. Lucas Auer is on the outside of Thomas Preining. Down the inside of 2 or 3 cars has gone Mirko Bortolotti. He's up the inside of Maro Engel. Cassidy is going to lead. Van Der Linde in second, side by side for third. Lucas Auer and Tommy Preining once again, a repeat of yesterday, are going to be side by side in Eau Rouge, but Preining's having none of it, and he closes the door and he stays in third place in the Porsche, holds on to that podium spot, but he's not got it covered off yet because Lucas Auer is right behind. They got Lucas Stoltz, who's not really been involved at the front all weekend long, but of course came from 8th to 1st to win at the Nürburgring. Sheldon Van Der Linde shows his nose on the way to Le Comp for the final time, but the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy stays ahead. And then in third place, it's still Tommy Preining. 4th is Auer, 5th is Stoltz. Grenier in 6th place has got everybody queued up behind him. What about Bortolotti? Did he gain any places? No, he dropped back. He's 13th. So he had a really good restart, but he got sucked into the pack. So he's out of the points at the moment, Bortolotti, which is even better news for Sheldon Van Der Linde. His 2 nearest rivals at the start of the race, both at the moment are not going to score any points. Lucas Auer will become his nearest points rival. Nick Cassidy, the only driver ahead. There's a huge pile up behind, look. Coming down the hill, we got 4 or 5 cars caught up together in the midfield, so yellow flags waving in the background as we got Nick Cassidy just trying to stay calm here, making his way now to the middle of the lap. But on that run down to Pouhon, there was a proper big ding-dong behind. We lost several cars in all of that, but Nick Cassidy now just about 2/3 of the way around the lap, looking for his maiden DTM victory. It's going to be another first-time winner in the DTM if he can hold on to it, but Sheldon Van Der Linde will be more than happy with second place in this race. Thomas Preining is not that close to him in third. Is he far enough ahead of Lucas Auer? Yes, he is. So Auer looks like he's going to have to settle for 4th on his birthday, but he will be up to 2nd in the championship. So it's a pretty good day for him after the disappointment with the puncture yesterday. Here we go then. It is coming into the final chicane for the final time. The number 37 Red Bull AlphaTauri AF Corsa of Nick Cassidy, and the New Zealander is about to be victorious because the checkered flag is ready to wave. Cassidy wins.
You legend. You're legend. Thank you so much.
You're a bit of a legend as well, Nick, in that race. Wow, fantastic stuff. Van Der Linde 2nd, Preining 3rd will join him on the podium. And he's happy, look, very happy with that. He applauds Nick Cassidy. Great sportsmanship as ever from the South African. What a race that was. What a stressful final lap. Ron Rijkaard there, who oversees the team at AF Corsa, along with the team boss at AF Corsa, Marco Ferrari. Absolutely delighted with that. Here's all that kicked off in the background. I think Bortolotti was involved in that as well. Muller, by the looks of it, one of the SSR Performance Porsches. And Alessio Delade also involved. Max Buch dropped back as a result of that. Maro Engel got caught up in it as well. So more unfortunate action evolving around Maro Engel. He's been really quick this weekend, but has got 0 out of the weekend. He got caught up in that, as you can see, did Esteban Moot, with damage to the front right wheel and front right suspension of the Volkenhorst BMW. Well, there's a lot to unpick from that race. They're very, very pleased with their weekend, though. There is Timo Bernhardt, a bit of a legend himself behind the wheel of a car. And, well, his experience and his young charge, that's a great combination. Tommy Preining, three podiums now in just a few weekends of DTM, starting with that victory at the Norrisring, the first ever for Porsche, and he's got 2 podiums this weekend as well. And remember, he was about 25 seconds into race 1, looking like he was headed for the barriers, but it worked out in the end. So Cassidy wins, Van Der Linde 2nd, Preining 3rd, Auer 4th, Stoltz in 5th place, Grenier 6th, and then Philippe Eng 7th. Felipe Frogger got through the drama. You see Nico Muller's car stranded there after a couple of 6th place finishes. He's another driver that has had a fair share of bad luck this year. So Fraga came up to 8th, got into the points. 2 points finishes for Felipe this weekend. Marco Wittmann got into the points as well. And Bortolotti, who was delayed in all of that but got around it, did get up into 10th place. So he got 1 championship point. But he will be 4th in the standings behind Sheldon Van Der Linde, Lucas Auer and Renee Rast. So Nick Cassidy wins. 10th different winner of the season. In 2022, DTM just keeps on giving. Sheldon Van Der Linde in 2nd, Thomas Preining 3rd, Lucas Auer 4th, Lucas Stoltz in 5th, then Grenier, Eng, Fraga, Wittmann and Bortolotti in the top 10. Arjun Maini in 11th, just outside the points. Lawrence Ventura, brave effort from 25th to 12th. Ricardo Feller from 17th on the grid to 13th. Calvin Van Der Linde, the race didn't work out for him, I'm afraid, back in 14th place after a good run of late. And the driver that's had 6 consecutive points finishes, Maximilian Gutz, out of the points in that one with an understeery car, which sucked him back into the pack. So down in 15th place for the reigning champion. Zug was 16th, Inershen was 17th, Deleda, Olsen and Schumacher rounded out the top 20. Rolf Inershen, though, does get the Auto Hero fastest lap of the race, but it won't be a championship point because he didn't finish in the top 10. But it is a nice moment for Rolf anyway to get that after the disappointment of yesterday and having that grid penalty that became a time penalty in the race in the end. So enjoying the moment, savouring the moment is Nick Cassidy, heading back to the pits where he's going to be cheered on. Here then provisionally, Sheldon Van Der Linde on 130 points. Lucas Auer 32 points behind on 98. Renee Rast doesn't score, 96. Bortolotti only gets a point, 94. And then Dennis Olsen drops to 5th on 87. Lucas Stoltz is 6th now in the championship on 83 points. So 21-point advantage at the start of the weekend. Despite not scoring yesterday, still grows the gap to 32 points for Sheldon Van Der Linde. He just keeps making the most of the chances that he gets, and he's driving with great maturity, great speed. The team are giving him a really good car as well. So pretty much a flawless race. There's just that slight hitch in the pit stop, but a great pit stop, wasn't it, from AF Corsa? And that really did help the cause. Ron Reichardt and the team absolutely delighted with that. And so they should be. It's been a tough year for the team. Remember, they were teams champions last year. Dramatically, they didn't win the Drivers' Championship with Liam Lawson, who was the last New Zealander to win in the championship. Now we've got another one, the driver that tried to help him in that final round at the Norris Ring, Nick Cassidy. So Cassidy comes back, Van Der Linde is already back, and Preining just gets out of the cockpit of the Porsche now after a superb weekend. Very much belongs in this championship, doesn't he, Tommy Preining? Giving himself enormous credit. Here we go then, the race winner. Nick Cassidy punches the air, climbs up to the top of the car, and he's given a rapturous round of applause for a fantastic drive. Hard battling out there, particularly that fight with Renee Rast in the first third of the race, and he had to work his socks off to keep Sheldon Van Der Linde behind him when he came out of the pits. That he did, used all of his experience, and it's great to see Nick, who's a lovely guy, great racer, get his victory. So once he's settled down, once he's been into the arms of the team, which he's about to do, they'll get ready very shortly with the podium presentations. Second win for the AlphaTauri AF Red Bull Corsa team, and following that victory for Felipe Fraga in the Norris Ring, hopefully for them a brighter second half of the season awaits. But there's only 2 weekends to go now. Red Bull Ring in a couple of weeks' time, and then the Hockenheim Ring for the season finale in a month's time. Ron Reichardt, who's the sporting director of the team, is the driver. He's going to come up and collect the trophy for the teams as well. So the top 3 drivers and the winning team collecting trophies on the podium ceremony, which is about to get underway. 12 races, 10 different winners. Is there a more competitive championship on the face of this earth than the DTM? Here we go then. Thomas Preining from Austria for Kuss Team Bernhard, and for Porsche up onto the podium for the second time this weekend. Third place for Tommy. And the second place trophy is going to go to a very happy Sheldon Van Der Linde shortly. Leah Wolfart is one of the latest winners of the fan experience, where fans are given the chance to get involved in DTM. So she has a great moment presenting the third place trophy. Here comes Sheldon, though. He's happy with that. The 23-year-old's up onto the second step of the podium, extending his championship lead. It's Prince Leopold von Bayern, who still competes himself in the DTM Classic at the start of the day today. The slightly grim conditions, but sunny now it is at Spa. He presents the trophy to Sheldon Van Der Linde. What's his fourth podium of the year? And as I say, Ron Rijkaard is going to collect the team's trophy for the Red Bull AlphaTauri AF Corsa squad. And here comes the trophy. Another football star here this weekend. They get some great stars to present the trophy. Jean-Marie Pfaff it is that presents the trophy to Ron Rijkaard, who's, now it's got quite warm, taken the Red Bull coat off. It's the hottest, sunniest part of the weekend. But here comes a big, big cheer, because Nick Cassidy and AlphaTauri AF Corsa are about to go onto the top step of the podium. From New Zealand, the man from Auckland, a race winner in the DTM. Fantastic drive. Jean-Marie Pfaff will present this trophy as well. And he's got lots and lots of trophies, Nick Cassidy. Front runner in the European Formula 3 Championship a few years ago as well. But this one might be going pretty close to the top of the mantelpiece, I think. We'll now get, though, the national anthem of your race winner from New Zealand. The New Zealand national anthem plays, as it did a few times last year. And it's for a Ferrari driver once again. A second victory for Ferrari in 2022, a first ever in the DTM for Nick Cassidy in what's only his first full season. Did the final round last year. He's missed a couple of rounds this year as well. So Nick Cassidy doing a superb job. Champagne time though, and there it goes. And they all get absolutely soaked. Ron Rijkaard got it right in the face, but he had his revenge on Nick Cassidy, that's for sure. He's the wetter of the two now. Smiles all round. Phenomenal racing once again from the DTM. The drivers were asked yesterday, does this place belong on the calendar? And the answer was yes, this place belongs on every calendar. Spa-Francorchamps has delivered great racing. The DTM, as I say, what a phenomenal championship it is this year. It is virtually impossible to predict winners, predict podium finishers. No idea who's going to win the championship, but I tell you what, young Sheldon Van Der Linde has got some momentum behind him now, and he's driving fast and he's driving smart. Here's some looks back there at the race from a busy grandstand overlooking that tremendous view, one of the world's most famous into Eau Rouge. Didn't see too much, I'm afraid, today of David Schumacher, but he drove well yesterday, just missed out on his first championship points. But we're going to head back down to the grid, down to the pit lane now, and to Verena, and get some of the reaction from the latest race.
And I'm here with the man of the moment, that's for sure, Nick Cassidy. I mean, whoo, you really gave us some chills there. That was a very bold move with Renee Rast, and also, I mean, that's what in the end got you your first victory in the season, and that's just absolutely amazing. It looked so easy, but in the end, I mean, you were fighting so hard. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels really amazing. I mean, to win in this championship is something I wanted to do for a long time, and yeah, the fight with Renee was very, very hard. Same with Sheldon on the cold tires, and look, I gave it everything. I had nothing to lose. I wanted this win so bad, and I left nothing out there.
Yeah, we definitely noticed that. You wanted it so bad, but in the end, I mean, you were just in the world of your own. I mean, you were just on fire.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I got to credit the team for that. The car was great today. I haven't been so happy with the balance yesterday, and overnight they made some great changes, and so credit to them.
And also, I mean, you came from P3 to victory, so, and then especially in a racetrack that is so legendary like Spa-Francorchamps. How does that feel? Does that make you especially proud?
Yeah, it does. I mean, to win here is extremely special. It's one of those simply amazing tracks, and we're lucky to race here in DTM. and to do it with such a fight as well. You know, they threw everything at me with Renee, with Sheldon, and then the restart at the end. I was like, I don't need this, but it all worked out.
Yeah, but that was really a moment where we all thought, what's going to happen now? But again, you had such a perfect start, so I guess for you it's just a brilliant, perfect, flawless race.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprisingly calm. I surprised myself, to be honest. But when the full course yellow come, because at that moment I knew that was the one thing that could take the win away, and so when it came, just lucky that I kept cool, hit my marks, did a good restart, and it was all good.
You really did a great job. Thank you so much, Nick. And I don't think we can grab Sheldon for now, but I'll just hand back to the commentator. I'll be right back with these two boys here.
Thanks, Verena. Great to hear from Nick. Well done, Nick. To put that into context, it's only his 5th weekend in DTM because he missed two race weekends earlier in the season. A great driver as well, and he was competing in the FIA Formula 3 Championship back in 2016. He was Prima teammates with Lance Stroll, who of course has gone on to Formula 1. And another driver that finished just above him in the championship when he finished 4th that year was George Russell, of course, is now very much a front runner in the Formula 1 World Championship. So he's mixing it with those kinds of drivers in single-seater racing. And we're very lucky to have him here with us in the DTM. Let's head back then down to Verena.
And I'm here with a happy man, Sheldon Van Der Linde. I'm telling you, thanks to the banana.
It must be the banana, yeah. I mean, I don't know. On one side, I'm extremely happy to have built my championship lead, but on the other side, we got so close to a win again, and that's obviously what we wanted today. But Nick was really fast, so I have to say well done to him. He drove a great race all the time. And I think it's about time that he won a race this year, so I'm very happy for him. But it was a tight last lap. I didn't want to take too much risk to try and dive him in turn 5, and then something happens, and then I'm completely out of it. So I think I did a good job with risk management today, and I think that's what it's all about for the next few races.
Absolutely, but I think there was one moment during the pit stop you were probably a little bit. I mean, that could have made a difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only moment where I think we kind of lost the race today, to be honest. Even though Nick was a lot fast, I think I could have defended from him to the end, but it is how it is. The boys have done a great job all year, so no hard feelings or anything. It can happen. Rather now than in the last race of the season when it's down to the championship, then it's a bit more serious. But yeah, very happy for the boys today, and obviously, full focus on the championship now for sure.
Finally you're saying that, because till now you were always saying, it's all about the points, but I mean, you really extended your lead, and now it's only 4 more races to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're looking very good. I think it's 32 points now to second. I don't know who's second. Is it Renee still, or?
No, it's Lucas Auer.
Auer, okay. Yeah, so 32 points is quite a long way to go, but obviously we have everything to lose now, so we have to be very careful, very focused, and keep on doing our job as we are.
All right, well, it was a fantastic race, that's for sure. Here's your commentator.
Thanks very much, Verena. Yeah, he's got his head screwed on, hasn't he? Very, very mature drive, as we've seen all year long from Sheldon Van Der Linde. And his team having a great season as well. Schubert Motorsports continue to lead the team standings on 175 points. Amp Sportsline second on 138. And SSR Performance after their first victory as a team yesterday with Dennis Olsen. They moved up to third yesterday. They're on 117 points now. Audi continue to lead the Manufacturers' Championship with 4 races to go. So that's it from me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box. We've got one more. Drop back down, though, to Verena in the pit lane. So thanks for me, and back to you, Verena.
And I'm here with Thomas Preining, who really managed so well in this race, coming from P7 to P3. It's another third place. You had one yesterday as well. So, I mean, you've got a big grin on your face. You've got to be absolutely happy.
Yeah, obviously a double podium here is a great result. Yesterday for sure was a bit more dramatic, but today is not less sweet at all. So it's, I think, deserved coming from P7. The champagne shower was very deserved, and I'm super happy for the team as well.
And because yesterday you had that one moment where I think your heart just kind of froze for a second. Do you have that in your head when you were racing today, or is that a new day you just push that away?
No, it's at the end of the day, I think a moment like this will probably stay with you forever. It's very dangerous, but this is my job, you know, and I obviously love my job a lot, so there is no risk that's too big. And today I made a few overtakes in the same corner where I had a drift yesterday, so I'm not scared or anything. I'm just happy to do what I love.
A very bold man. And now in 2 weeks we've got Spielberg coming up. So what are your thoughts on that? Just continue on the podium?
Yeah, obviously my home race is coming up. I'm very excited. I have a cool helmet lined up for Red Bull Ring. So I really cannot wait for the event and to see many friends and family members.
All right, well, we're definitely looking forward to that. Thank you so much, Thomas. And yeah, that was a phenomenal race weekend here in Spa-Francorchamps, that's for sure. And as Thomas was saying, we're really excited for Spielberg in just 2 weeks, and you could be excited too. So see you then in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.